When analysing the huge social changes that have occurred over the last 15 years, most of the commentary has focused on the demise of the Catholic Church, the corruption of the political system, or the end of the IRA campaign. But in fact, the most liberating force has been the emergence of available credit. Just think about how it used to be before the wave of cheap money transformed the country and obliterated the echoes of De Valera's vision of how we ought to live.
A land whose countryside would be bright with cosy homesteads and the laughter of happy maidens.
Prior to independence, there was an overt form of political exclusion based on religion. However, there was a more subtle form of exclusion in post-independence Ireland. It was credit discrimination. Only respectable people, doctors, solicitors and other professionals, had bank accounts and got credit, while the rest were forced to live from hand to mouth.
Those cosy little homesteads evidently doomed, and the hoarse laughter of our less happy maidens at the prospect of more and yet more romping children.
You remember you and me being here before? You're right. The Dole queue, the labour exchange.
For Pat, his existence was at best month to month. Dreams were not on the cards. Pat, tell us just about Glass-Tool, let's say, late 50s, early 60s.
Well, I was born in the buildings in Glass-Tool, Dave. My dad was in the Irish Lights.
What happened when your father was stuck at sea and cash, and how the whole thing worked?
They lived week to week. And if the weather got bad, the ship was weather-bound, the wages didn't come home. Hence, that my mother made the best of what she had left. And that's where, the bread and butter, the affinity I have of bread and butter pudding.
And there was no sniff of a bank account?
No,
a bank manager?
No, as far as I can remember, Dave, no.
As soon as credit becomes available, something strange happens to a society, and hundreds of thousands of people are free to aspire to a better future. Time travel becomes possible. So tell me, where do you see yourselves in the future? Let's say 10 years' time.
I don't think there's anything holding me back except my own ambitions and my own ability.
I do want to get into media and journalism. Ideally, if I were to develop a proper talent, I'd love to get into writing.
When I finish my degree, I'd like to go into political reporting. I'd like to be a political commentator.
I'm starting work in October in an accountancy company, and so I'd hopefully be progressing along in that way for the next few years.
I want to be in the European Union, sitting behind some desk, wielding power over something.
What concerns or fears do you have about the country?
Environment is our biggest concern. Without that, we cannot live.
Ireland has kind of benefited from being pro-European and also pro-American, and with kind of the ongoing question of the European Constitution coming back to the fore, it'll be interesting to see where the country will be in 10 years' time.
Obviously, we're kind of stuck with not too many resources. We're going to have to become a country kind of like Switzerland or something like that, where it's primarily a knowledge-based economy.
To stay here, I don't think that I could have the future I want and fulfil the things I want by just living in a house, semi-detached, somewhere nice with trees. I see myself abroad, further out.
I do want it all. I want to have a lot of children and I want to have a successful career. And I do feel if I work hard enough and if I want it bad enough, I will have it.
These young people know no boundaries. The world is their oyster. The credit boom has changed the society in a deep sense and has given us great confidence in the future and has created a level of social mobility unheard of a decade ago. On the other hand, it makes us socially more insecure because everything your neighbour buys throws down the gauntlet to you to buy something better, newer and more expensive. We are spending money we don't have on stuff we don't need. Each of us currently owes 135% of our annual salary. In fact, no other country in the world has ever borrowed more than the Irish have in the past 10 years.
I got this bag a month ago. It's my 4th Louis Vuitton bag, and it's kind of the biggest one I've had just because it's really handy for work and that. It was €580. Christian Dior does lovely bags as well. Got a gorgeous pair of Fendi boots last summer, a pair of Jimmy Choo shoes. I like Chanel for sunglasses and things.
Ireland has radically changed over the last 15 to 20 years. I think 15 years ago, maybe in the early 90s to the mid-90s, I think that was a big change for Brown Thomas. And I think as a group had a very, very strong vision to look at a different path, which was the luxury goods.
Stella McCartney is another great designer. A D&G watch. I have another D&G watch that I kind of wear at the daytime. Well, the most I spent, probably about €800 on a bag. It's a Gucci bag.
Now, the luxury goods is huge in Brown Thomas, but I do believe that an awful lot more people are shopping, which is the big thing, and I think people are working very hard. People's lifestyles have changed an awful lot over the last 10 years, and I think because people feel they work very hard, they're not afraid to spend. If they want the Louis Vuitton, or if they want the Birkin bag, or the latest or the greatest Prada bag, that's what they'll have.
There isn't too much guilt involved, because I think you justify it a lot. And you say, well, I would have spent that on something else, so I may as well buy something really big, really nice. I think that Ireland's gotten a lot better for bringing in a lot of the designers that they may not have had a few years ago. So it's great for every shopping person's dream.
Look at all this stuff, all this spending. This is delicious, reasonably equitable credit, which has washed down over us. And in its wake, it's devastated the old, tight-assed, rigid class system. What it's done, it's facilitated dreams, ambitions, and freedom. Freedom unthinkable, arguably, only a couple of years ago. Yeah, so we're frivolous, we're spending a bit on expensive makeup and expensive handbags, but ultimately, what has happened is we're now dreaming. And I suppose at this stage, we all better get used to it. Handbags, makeup and shoes are not the only thing on the Pope's children's shopping lists. Spending $5,000 on other assets is just as acceptable.
Cheers.
Cheers. Fiona, tell us, since 2.5 years ago, you had nothing done. What have you done since then?
Tummy tuck, my boobs restyled and reshaped, and my thighs done, and stomach banding, and various things to my face.
And have other friends of yours got it done as well?
Yes, I have a couple of friends who's had liposuction, and another one's had a tummy tuck and things like that.
And tell me, you got your thighs done as well?
I did.
And what procedure is this?
I had the whole inside of my thighs cut away.
That's extraordinary. Virginia, what have you done?
I got my breasts enhanced 7 years ago.
From what to what?
From a 34B to a 34D.
So I'm trying not to look down. This is my whole thing. I'm trying to catch your eye here. Okay, so 34?
B to a 34D.
Okay, and you were, what 22?
I was 23 at the time. It was the best thing I ever did.
I mean, when you lie down,
mine
your
are
boobs
very...
stick up?
No. They're very natural.
Because you know lots of women say...
They feel very natural. How do you feel?
No.
Go on.
Yeah. They do. And tell me, you feel much better as a result. You feel great.
Oh, yeah, 100%. More confidence.
And likewise yourself?
Definitely more confidence. Clothes fit better, you feel sexier, definitely more womanly. It's very popular now in Ireland. It's like getting your hair done.
Back in Germany, Udo is totally oblivious as to how his savings have been used in the reshaping of the Irish psyche. And so long as he sticks to good, wholesome pursuits like gardening, the Pope's children can prolong the party. Back home, inflated expectations begin at a very early age, and nowhere is this more evident than in children's birthday parties. Bouncy Castle Man has been in operation for 5 years now, and business is booming.
The majority of our business comes from birthday parties for kiddies. We've had parties for 21sts, or 30th birthday parties, 40th birthday parties in people's houses. We have bigger castles and stronger ones, especially designed to take the weight of adults. When I left school, I thought I was going to end up being a carpenter or electrician or something like that. I never thought 10 years ago I was going to end up doing bouncy castles, but an opportunity came along, I took it, and there's a little niche in the market there, and we've moved into it, and it's taken off really well. We have very busy days. Sometimes you've got possibly 20, 30 castles out on any one day. So we have 2 other people that we employ to drive for us as well, deliver the bouncy castles. So there's 4 of us working at it most of the year round.
And bouncy castles are a great way of entertaining the children for the whole day. You can see for yourself, they're not crying, fighting, they're enjoying themselves.
I never had a party in my life. I had one when I was 21. I think everybody nowadays, they're earning much more money now, and they can afford all this, they can. We couldn't afford this when we were rearing the kids, like. But I think it's great for them, like.
Just down the close, DIY Declan and Low GI Jane are having their monthly barbecue. If you don't have the second home in Alicante, then at least you can pretend by spending vast amounts of money, time and effort kitting out your back garden with the accessories for a summer in Andalusia. And a deck, our outside entertaining space as it's called, is absolutely essential.
Like the Beamer, by the way.
I was thinking of trading in with the X5.
Declan is cooking burgers and sausages in understated but total control of his top-of-the-range cooking area, the Viking Magic Regal 2, with its flavour grid and total of 22,000 BTUs, all firing in unison.
You mind having a roll of rock, if that's okay?
Honey?
DIY Declan is a winner. He is on his way up. It is paradise in Decland.
Jane,
Oh, thank you very much.
you always chose a damn good party.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Hey.
Although we are in Kildare, this barbecue scene could be anywhere in the US. We have embraced the American suburban dream. But Ireland's other tribe, the elite Hibernian cosmopolitans, turn up their class-conscious noses at the likes of Declan. Whereas he engages in one-upmanship, the Heiko does the opposite. Her golden shopping rule is one-downmanship, though through her purchases, she is sending out very definite signals. Avoca Handweavers in Wicklow is Arch Heiko, the perfect habitat in which to find Yummy Mummy. The car park is an Arcadian vision of suburbia, all willows and beeches and strategically placed wheelbarrows. Inside is a canvas of homemade ice cream shades of pink, creams and pale greens, and everything about it is retro chic. Amanda Pratt had her vision of perfection and made it a reality.
You're appealing to authenticity. This is arguably the polar opposite to a big brand shop.
In fact,
people
I
want authentic
really,
stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, I specifically, in terms of being interested in things, I'm not that interested in big brands. It's not to say that I admire hugely many people. And what I'm much, much more interested in is the whole question of things being quirky, interesting, individual. All the things that are sitting around me, these are all being made by Irish people. These are made to our design, to have stuff on them by Irish people, because we want something that's different.
I mean, Avoca really gets the nub of the issue here because, you see, Heikos will spend a huge amount of money on something like this. I mean, what Heiko kitchen could resist the idea of a perfect coffee grinder? Yeah, it costs 300 quid, but ultimately, Heikos will spend lots and lots of money on small things like this, and they'll never be flash, and they'll never spend money on big things like a speedboat.
One of the things that I always hated all my life, and I don't know why I hated it, was the idea that I'd be wearing the same pants that 44,000 other people would be wearing, because we deal with one supplier who told me that if they make a butterfly for a pair of pants, knickers, the minimum order they'll ever get is 44,000 of a colour. And that means that if you buy anything from them...
There's 44,000
well,
other women walking around.
43,900 or whatever.
99, yeah.
To me, that is so dull.
This is great. See, apple and strawberry juice from Chegwood Valley, hand-selected, pressed juices. You can almost imagine the farmer actually pressing this wholesome stuff again. It's good for you. Every purchase is good for you. Look here, for example, we've got these chutneys. Aubergine, apricot and tomato chutney. There's nothing Chivers jam about this. There's nothing Fruitfield marmalade. This is authentic. You could almost imagine making it yourself. Everyone's buying lifestyle at some level. Well, what is the Avoca lifestyle?
I honestly think that we would feel that there's nothing in terms of pretense about it, that it is old-fashioned, the longhand way. So our bakers start at 7 every morning, making soup and bread and scones and salads fresh from scratch every day. Now, nobody does that anymore, unless at the top end of restaurants. It is a throwback, and it is something that we feel ourselves, Amanda and I particularly feel, is really to our fingertips is what we're about, and it seems to work for us.
Avoca's refined, distressed furniture and its nostalgic view of life, its retro chic accessories, is all a lifestyle. A calm, rich, sophisticated lifestyle. That is Yummy Mummy. This is a blissful place. Look around. Nothing's cheap, nothing's nasty, nothing's mass-produced. Avoca is Heiko heaven. It's a type of nirvana, the place where all Heiko Yummy Mummies go when they die.
Irish art is everything a rich Heiko loves. Hibernian, elite, unique and authentic. And perfect for gracing the walls of those Montenotti, Taylor's Hill and Ranelagh red bricks. It's currently going through a boom time.
6,000, 6,002, 6,500.
James, has there been an explosion in the market in the last couple of years?
Not necessarily in the last couple of years. There's been a sort of a dramatic increase in the number of people who are interested in buying Irish art.
Why is that?
I think we have traditionally, we've got a very insular approach to painting. 1,100, 1,200, all out at €1,200. Well, the type of pictures that you buy, the type of pictures that you hang on your wall, do say quite a lot about the type of person you are, the type of education you've had, the type of lifestyle you lead. Lot number 39. Who'll start me at €20,000 for a please? 20,000, 24,000, 26,000, 30,000, 34, 36, 38, 40,000. Any advance on 40,000? Last chance at €40,000. 153. Thank you.
So we've got a piece here. At 60 grand?
Yeah, 60
That's
grand.
pretty pricey.
It is pretty pricey, but when you compare a work like that to some of the important European masters of the mid-20th century, that is for nothing.
What type of person is buying?
Very wealthy young people, probably people in their late 30s, early 40s, who have made a lot of money out of property, business generally. And
what sort of statement is that making, do you think, about being
cultured, adventurous, certainly not middle of the road.
Whichever tribe is spending it, and whether it's a tasteful old classic or a flashy top-of-the-range 06, there's a hell of a lot of money out there, and the banks are just keeping it rolling, so long as Udo is still doing his garden. However, in the dynamics of this booming economy, the cost of relative failure is even greater than normal. In the past, when most of us were poor and the class structure was rigid, there was always comfort in numbers. In contrast, today, when things are going well, and people are constantly looking over their shoulders, envious of each other's possessions, many can feel as if they are locked outside the party.
There's 3 of us in the house. There's myself and my 2 daughters. It's a council house and I'm very happy to live here. I'm living here the last 12 and a half years. I have to say, I love it. I love where I am. I love the people around me. I love my community. My income would be in around €400. Part of social welfare and another part from FOSS. And it's a training allowance because I'm doing a CE scheme. That's a community employment scheme. I would notice the changes in the country for different people. I'd read about it in the paper and I'd see it on the television, but it wouldn't directly affect my world and where I live. And again, I would be speaking for a huge amount of my friends. I don't even own a passport. Maybe when I am on my feet and there is a little bit extra money, I would love to bring the girls away. I always do budget the shopping, the bills. There is weeks that things are tight if they need new runners, if they need new shoes. I have Louise going into first year in school, so that was a huge expense. You might get a trip to the pictures and maybe to McDonald's if you're lucky. But in regards of going clothes shopping, sure, the price of stuff now, you just couldn't afford it. I certainly wouldn't go near the bank looking for a loan. I wouldn't go near the bank looking for credit cards because I would be terrified I couldn't meet what they expect from me. But in regards of the bigger picture, looking at buying houses or getting loans like that to do that, there's absolutely no way. No way. I wouldn't even dream of it. It doesn't even come into my head when I'm in bed, you know, to dream, because it's just too far away from me. Louise, do you want bread or a roll with your soup or with your noodles?
No, thanks.
Just noodles?
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't the Celtic Tiger got me to where I am today, because I didn't see it. It must have bloody flew by me.
So the new Ireland is not all-encompassing. Not everybody is involved in the property frenzy or borrowed up to their ever-increasing credit limit. Economically, the problem now is that the madness for property has sucked in most of the resources of the economy, elbowing out investment in other productive and longer-lasting ventures, such as research and development. Domestically, all our eggs are in one basket. Internationally, we are also at the mercy of another external force. We are more dependent on the fortune of America than any other country in the world.
When you look at Ireland, do you think we might be too dependent? I mean, we are very dependent on multinationals. The figures are quite startling.
Yeah, let me put that into context for you. I think there's a very strong dependence on the multinationals. Microsoft as one company accounts for 5% of this country's GDP. If I add Intel and Dell, that takes it up to 20%.
Let's talk about, just very briefly, the sort of China factor, the India in particular.
If you look at India and China, it's a huge market opportunity. I mean, an incredibly huge market opportunity. And it has a relatively low labour cost. And it has an incredible capacity to deliver and make a lot of engineers.
What would cause Microsoft to leave here?
I think what will cause any company to leave any foundation is if the environment changes dramatically. Clearly, costs are an issue. So it wouldn't necessarily say we may pull out tomorrow, but it may stop us investing further tomorrow. So I think that's probably the issue that we may have to deal with.
With 87% of all our exports generated by multinationals, the boardrooms of New York will have much more impact on the fortunes of the Irish economy than Dáil Éireann. And don't go thinking that these lads believe in loyalty. They believe in profit. And they think that the big bucks in the coming years are going to be made in China and India, and not in Leixlip. This, together with the fact that European interest rates are on the rise, means that Ireland's golden age may be coming to a close.
To an extent, I mean, Ireland has been straddling America and Europe like no other European nation. We've actually we've got the best of both, really.
Well, we have certainly benefited massively from the American involvement in the Irish economy. We've had a relatively benign situation in terms of currency markets. We've had very low interest rates, which has been essential for the building boom and the development boom that has taken place in Ireland. That's very important. And secondly, we've had a situation where the euro has not been particularly strong against the dollar. The German economy is beginning to pick up. that has implications for inflation and therefore for interest rates rising at the same time in Europe. So we could have a paradigm shift which works directly against our interests. And this to my mind, is a sign that we need. I don't want to be apocalyptic about it. We need to be concerned.
When Udo and his 80 million countrymen start spending their cash again, interest rates will continue to rise as the EU takes measures to control inflation. The inevitable result of these interest rate rises will be a slowdown and possible collapse of the housing market. This will bring with it increased unemployment as the building industry goes into recession and the budget goes into deficit. It may well now be time to find an Irish solution to a uniquely Irish problem.
When German interest rates finally increase, the entire confidence trick in Ireland will be exposed and the boom-bust cycle will take hold. And normally when this happens, governments cut interest rates and spend to try and ease the unemployment that follows. But Ireland can't do this because number one, our interest rates will be set here in Germany, and number two, the EU won't allow us to borrow. So our government will be paralysed. And do you think the EU and Germany, people here, do you think they're going to care? I don't think so.
Because the Pope's children have never experienced recession, don't be surprised if a politician emerges suggesting that we have come to the end of the road in our relationship with the EU, and that we need to loosen our links or possibly pull out altogether.
You know, there is a way out of this crisis. There is a way out of this cul-de-sac. There is a model that will allow us to make a virtue out of the property crisis and also to position ourselves nimbly for the challenges of the emergence of China, India and globalization in general. But to do this, we've got to be far-sighted, we've got to be brave and extremely courageous. We can no longer think of ourselves as victims. By 2016, 100 years after the Rising, we've got to show real independence and sovereignty by being grown up and thinking for ourselves. So to get an idea of what this new Ireland of the future might look like, we've got to go back into history and visit the most successful, self-confident city-state of them all.
City-states were the medieval equivalent of Switzerland, trading countries that avoided close alliances with any big empires and instead looked after their own people by using their brains, resources, innovation and tax systems to suit themselves.
Here in Venice, a combination of aggressive trading, free thinking, individual creativity and smart alliances allowed this once inconsequential city to drive itself forward to become the richest state in the world for over 300 years. Now, like Ireland today, the Venetians found themselves stuck between two great powers. But instead of choosing one, they decided to trade one power off each other aggressively. Now, if you think about it, this is precisely what we've been doing in Ireland, trading Europe against America for the past 30 years.
No wonder my happy heart sings. Your love has given me wings.
Francesco, how important is trade in the history of Venice?
I think that trading was the most important thing. Pepper, salt, cinnamon. And so they started to go to the east, where the spices were the place to find them. And that was the idea for the Venetian, to have a very good fleet, go around the world, and becoming the door, the connection between east and west.
If you look at the world at the moment, the emergence of China will take away the power of other countries. If you think about the modern world, it's quite similar.
I think so. It's quite interesting, but in the history, many things they repropose themselves around. There is always, now they're finding another place where the things are cheaper.
In the next 20 years, anything could happen. An incoherent EU of 30-odd members won't necessarily be acting in Ireland's interests.
The idea of the Venetian was first Venetian, second Christian. Money was the most important thing.
We too should see ourselves as Irish first and European second. We need to be confident enough to realise that Ireland is now different. This means nearly 100 years after the Rising, the real sovereignty our leaders spoke of but never exercised is reasserted. A new Venetian-style self-confident nationalism which is flexible and open to ideas means suiting ourselves, not Brussels, in all areas, including tax policy, immigration policy, and above all, diplomacy. As long as an alliance works for us, we should use it. When it becomes problematic, jettison it. We should remain free to make alliances, for example, with China, using our burgeoning Chinese population as economic ambassadors, not just economic migrants. All this means is finding out what we, the Irish, are best at, what we can get paid most for, and redirecting our policies accordingly.
If you look at Ireland, Denmark and Luxembourg, three of the smallest countries in the European Union, they are the three at the very top of the pile in GDP per capita. Why is that the case? I think it's the case because you can have focused and effective domestic policies. We have the additional advantage in Ireland of being English-speaking, within the Eurozone, having long connections, often family connections with the United States. What we have to do, looking into the future, is to maximize those advantages and make sure they don't go away.
The lesson from Ireland of the future, from Venice of the past, is probably the following, which is that sometimes it's better for a small country to remain free, independent and flexible. Now, globalization will make this easier, not more difficult. And all we have to have is self-confidence, to have the vision to know who we are, to have the honesty to know where we fit in the world, but probably most importantly, what we need is the self-confidence to do the right thing, not necessarily the easy thing, when the global economy throws up all classes of challenges to the Pope's children in the years ahead.